Project Slayers is arguably the biggest Demon Slayer game on the platform. In fact, it's been 14 months since the game has updated, and it averages anywhere between 5 to 25k plus players depending on the day. And today we're going to be going over the complete history for Project Slayers. Even though it may not be a lot of content, it's definitely going to be a lot to unpack. So before we get into this, you guys do me a huge favor, hit that like button if you haven't already. Let's get this to 1,000 likes, and if you're new, hit the subscribe button. Without further ado, let's get straight into this. Now, the first time Project Slayers was seen by the community, it was sometime mid-2021. Most of us, including myself, saw it for the first time on Seiji4's channel, where he showcased himself playing the game for the first time. And we got to see quite a bit of the game there. Character customization, which I'm not gonna lie, at the time was very basic, but for its time, it was actually quite impressive. The only thing that I was actually able to compare to how detailed the character customization was at the time was Grand Peace Online. You gotta remember, in 2021, there wasn't a lot of crazy games on the platform. Along with that, the 2021 showcase showed us some of the combat and movement mechanics that Project Slayers had, along with some lightning breathing style abilities and moves, and some of the early Blood Demon art. Project Slayers finally released to the public. This took place 1 year after the showcase on Seiji4's channel, on July 15th of 2022. And I'm not gonna lie, it was a very big release. Over 100,000 players were playing the game that day. But in terms of gameplay, it was almost exactly like its lookalike counterpart, that being Grand Peace Online. To level up, you would just complete quests and move to the next area that had a quest of your level range. At the time, there were only 4 different breathing styles, that being Butterfly, Wind, Water, and Lightning, and only 4 Blood Demon arts, which were Arrow, Tamari, Blood, and Reaper. If you were a Slayer, you got to participate in the final selection, which was a tad bit different to how it usually works in other Roblox games. You can only participate at night, but when you go in, you can go either by yourself or with a party, and you follow a series of different quests that usually involve defeating demons. And there's no time limit here. You could stay in there for 5 days plus, and you won't get kicked out. You just need to complete the quest. The last quest would make you defeat the hand demon, and there was no time limit on how long it took to defeat the hand demon because he was quite tanky and he was pretty powerful. But there were ways to cheese it if you were lightning or water. So you didn't really have to worry because you could take all the time you need and farm the hand boss, which dropped a tier 10 chest, which gives you good items at the end of it. Now, if you were a demon, progression wasn't all that crazy. You had to find Muzan, which you could only find at night, and if you bought a game pass, you could see his exact location when nighttime spawns, or when nighttime comes around, should I say. And if you didn't have the game pass, you just need to either find someone with the game pass to find Muzan, or just run around until you find him, honestly, because he had different spawn locations. You would do a quest by Muzan, and after you complete the quest, you would turn into a demon. And you can continue leveling up. If you get hit by the sun, you die. Update 1 was 3 months later, on the 5th of November. Update 1 released, and it came with 3 new breathing styles: Flame, Beast, and Mist. And it also came with 3 new Blood Demon arts, which was Dream, Swamp, and Shockwave, and a bunch of new clans, those being Rengoku, Tokito, Hashibara, Soyama, Sabito, Toyomo. I know I scuffed the names, I'm not naming them anymore. Here's a list of them on your screen, bro. There was a new dungeon, Origira, is that how you pronounce it? Origara, that's how you pronounce it. And there was a second world that you needed a level, that required a level for you to actually enter. They added new breathing masteries, that being breathing mastery level 4 and 5. Level 4 was kind of useless. It gave you breathing regeneration, I think, or gave some sort of regeneration, and level 5 allowed the user to blitz across the map. Basically, you were able to traverse around the map at high speeds until your breathing bar reaches 0, and you just breathe again, or if you have constant breathing, wait for it to go back up and you can run again. However, the second world wasn't actually anything too crazy. It was essentially the first world, but bigger and kind of cooler looking in terms of map design, that is. In the main city, there was a dungeon that worked kind of like a mob wave simulator. Each wave of enemies that you completed, the more mobs would spawn in and they'll gradually get harder. There are also random events that happen during your dungeon run. For example, sometimes your screen will get randomly blurred for a period of time. Bosses also randomly spawned in as well, along with the mobs to make it harder. Now, if you survived until the end, you get teleported to the reward room where you get points depending on how well you did. You can buy items, EXP, money, new weapons, etc. Whatever you wanted that was on display with the points that you acquired in the dungeon. More importantly, the highlight of this update was the Mugen Train. The Mugen Train dungeon, in order to participate in it, you needed to buy a ticket from the conductor and stand on the starting circle. You could go alone or with 5 different players. They didn't need to be in your party. Where it starts you off in a cutscene with Rengoku eating, and then you end up falling asleep. Once you're in the dream world, you need to protect your core from waves of mobs as the timer goes down. Once you've completed that section, you wake up and you need to protect the sleeping civilians for like 300 seconds, which is actually a long time, I'm not gonna lie, but it's very doable. After completing that, you head onto the roof of the train where you need to fight Enmu in his base form. After you get him low, you take on his second stage, which is the flesh monster, and once you defeat that, the train will derail and Akuza will appear for the final fight. However, once you defeat Akuza, Rengoku dies and you've completed the Mugen Train dungeon. And I'm not gonna lie, it's very time consuming, and all you get from Mugen Train is free chests that get stolen if you went with a party of more than 2 people, honestly. So it's a bit annoying that individual players don't get their own rewards, but it is what it is. Now, over 6 months later, we finally got update 1.5, which, as the update suggests, it was basically a 0.5 update. It came with 2 new breathing styles, snow and sound, and 1 new blood demon art, which was ice. It came with a trading system, GPO, and a map expansion for the second zone. There was also 2 new very powerful weapons, the Devourer and Polar series weapons and item sets that you could get from grinding the game. Obviously, there was a new clan, Uzui, which was a supreme, and there was a max level increase, which was 225, along with a max mastery increase as well, which was set to 250. Obviously, that was done so you guys can grind your asses off for a while. Other than grinding for the new Devourer and Polar sets, the only other thing to do in this update was honestly trade. Literally, it became a trade hub, GPO trade hub, simulator 2.0, whatever you want to call it. People were literally just AFKing in the trade hub looking for trades, bro. There was a cool title system added as well that allowed you to get stronger, but that's irrelevant. People were really just trading. Since there was a handful of new items that got added to the game for this update, there was a lot to trade for. And after spending your life grinding for these new items, you would really just end up spending hours in the trade hub in order to get good trades for the new best items or just rare items in general. That's honestly it to update 1.5. There was nothing much. On June 14th of 2023, Update 2 did vaguely get announced. However, the following months would be radio silence from Uop until February 28th of 2024. Uop came out of radio silence and announced he was going to be working on a whole different game, which we now know as Project Slayers 2. And when he announced that, he gave us a small character customization teaser where you could see the new UI, how the new textures look, the new models, etc. and the new character customization. situation, obviously. Some people were a bit confused and some people were a bit excited, but UOP actually cleared up any misconceptions or confusion that may have been going around in the community, and he really just told us he could no longer work on Project Slayers because the back end of the game was terrible. The coding for the game was genuinely garbage. So every time UOP tried to update the game, something on the back end would break. Every time he tries to add something or take something out, the back end would just collapse on him and he would have to recode damn near everything just to update the game. So it ended up not being even worth it. So UOP ultimately decided, if I'm going to spend this much time for a single update, I may as well make a better version of Project Slayers with good coding, a good backend, and that's what he's doing. And we do know from my video before that UOP has actually confirmed Project Slayers 2 coming out this year. Now he did say hopefully, so it's not really a confirm, it's more of a if things go right I would like to release it in 2024. It's not really a confirmation, it's just a I would like to release it in 2020. It may come this year, and if it doesn't come this year, it's most likely going to come within those early stages of 25. Let's just have fingers. Since then, we have gotten a bunch of teasers and showcases from what's going to come to Project Slayers 2, and UOP has stated that the game will actually be really fun, and it's not going to be the same as Project Slayers 1. Also, I'm pretty sure the only things that are going to be transferred from Project Slayers 1 to 2 are game passes. Don't quote me, I'm very sure game passes are confirmed to be passed on. I don't know if anything else is getting passed on. From what I do know, progression is not getting passed on because it's a completely different game. Only certain items will be passed. So we're gonna have to wait and see how UOP decides he wants to do that for the future. But Project Slayers 2 is genuinely looking good. The only thing I'm a little bit upset about with Project Slayers 2 is that the combat is exactly the same as Project Slayers 1. I saw this as a good opportunity to change up the formula in terms of the combat mechanics, but I guess not. And it is what it is. At least we're gonna be getting a complete revamp actually. And that's it for this video. I hope you guys liked it. I hope you enjoyed it. If you made it to the end, do me a huge favor and hit that like button. Again, if you're not subscribed, you probably should subscribe. This was the complete history of Project Slayers. Let me see you guys in the next one. Peace.